Greetings and salutations, and welcome to my review of the Snoop Dogg Get the Chip Deep Fried Chicken Wings recipe. Here we go. So, this review is divided into three sections: flavor, texture, and deep frying at home. So, number one, let's start with flavor. Okay, so to start with flavor, it's deep fried chicken wings, people, okay? Come on, come on. If you are an animal product eater, this is okay. It's deep fried chicken wings. That being said, there are some good things and some bad things. So, what I liked about the flavor was the general flavor profile I felt fits this sort of recipe and this sort of soul food vibe that I think they're going for. And I like that they recommended barbecue potato chips, which have a little sweetness and bring us a little something different to the overall flavor of the finished wings. That being said, there's a lot that I do not like about the flavor of these wings. It's not so much the flavors that are there that I don't like, it's flavors that aren't there that I wish were. So, to get more in depth with this, I'd like to talk about the saltiness of these wings and how the salt was layered throughout the recipe to end up with the right saltiness at the end, which I will say I think they did end up at the right level of salt flavor in the final wing. But for my taste, at least, salty foods, especially fried foods, need to have something balancing it. Usually for me, that would be spiciness or sweetness. Having a salty food without a balance of some other kind of flavor profile leaves the wings feeling very like one note and not very interesting and not very well rounded as well, which I would have appreciated a more well rounded flavor profile overall. So these wings are brined for, I believe, 12 to 24 hours. And that will spread your saltiness of the finished flavor throughout the wing and not just in the breading. So, in that respect, I do like the choice to have the wings be brined. However, I think in trying to make this recipe appeal to a wider audience of people so that you can make it at a family function where you might have kids or something like that, they have made the flavors unbalanced and have kind of knocked off the nice balance I like in a good fried food, especially fried chicken. So I think to solve the issue of the salt imbalance in the overall flavor of these wings, they could have had sugar in the breading mixture. I think that would have given the saltiness a little bit of sweetness to balance it out, or more cayenne, which they have you put cayenne in the breading, which I like. And so I wish they had done more of that to kind of more match up the saltiness that kind of overpowers a lot of the other flavors in the flavors of this wing. Though I really did like that they recommended hot sauce or lemon pepper. I ended up putting dry lemon pepper on the finished wings, which I think brought back a little bit more of the balance that the original wings were missing. I tried it with and without the lemon pepper, and the lemon peppered ones were definitely more balanced, but I think it didn't solve the underlying issue because the saltiness was kind of throughout the wing, but the but the lemon pepper was just on top, just a sprinkling on top. So you got a bit of the lemon pepper, and then you got a lot of saltiness in the rest of the bite through the wing. So that will do it for flavor. Now let's talk about the texture of these wings. Woo! Okay, the texture. I really liked the texture of these wings a lot. Okay. The crunchiness of these wings is great. And it's actually astounding. And I'm gonna make all fried foods this way, no matter what they are. I don't care. So what makes this so great, I think, comes down to having several different textures in one. In the overall umbrella of crunch, there are several different sizes of particle that you get to experience as you're biting into this wing. And so I've created a nifty crunch pyramid to break it all down. So on the top, being the largest particle size, is the chips. I didn't crush the chips up that small because I was lazy and did it with my hand. So the chips ended up being bigger pieces, which when you bite into the wing after you fry it, that gives you that big crunch right at the start, which is great. And then the next level down would be the cornmeal that they put into the breading, which is a smaller particle size than the chips, but not as small as the flour. So this kind of gives you like a nice mid-level crunch that's a bit more evenly spread throughout the breading, because the chips are kind of spotted throughout the breading. The cornmeal kind of gets a bit more throughout the breading, so it's kind of halfway between the chips and the flour in terms of texture experience. Then you have flour at the bottom of the pyramid with the smallest particle size, and this is kind of the last layer of crunch that spreads all the way throughout the wing and obviously gets that nice crispy breaded exterior on fried foods. So those three levels of crunch are interacting when you take a bite, and it is awesome. It's so good. Lastly, for texture, I want to talk about the brine, because I'm not exactly sure the texture difference that brined versus unbrined wings would have. So when I was initially forming my thoughts here, I thought that I would diss the brine. Okay, me and the brine have beef. Okay, because it seems to me, from like a home cook's perspective, brining seems like a restaurant thing. It seems like something that you do the night before because you have a meal service the next day, so you can have one of your prep cooks do all the brining of the chicken in a big tub in your walk-in cooler beforehand, and then you can just pull it out and bread it, fry it. Whereas in a home cooking situation, the brine seems less necessary to get a nice finished product that people will enjoy. But me and the brine, we've become friends. We've squashed the beef. It's over. Me and the brine are on good terms now, because I do like the way that it spreads the salt, the salinity throughout the chicken wings, so you get a more even saltiness throughout the wing. It's not that big of a difference, I don't think. If you don't brine it, it's like not, too big of a difference. But I do like that the saltiness throughout. If only they had put more cayenne in. So that will do it for texture. And now let's talk about deep frying at home. So I've seen several schools of thought on this on the internet about whether it's worth it to deep fry food at home. Adam Ragusia says it's not. Ethan Chlebowski says it is. I don't know what to think. But anyway, I did it. And this recipe, unfortunately doesn't call for enough oil. Even though they tell you, I use the vessel, the Dutch oven that they suggest you use, and I use the exact amount of oil that they suggest you use, but it wasn't enough. So when I was dropping the wings in, they ended up just kind of floating on the bottom of the pot and kind of burning on the hot surface of the bottom of the pot. I think they recommended this amount of oil to not have the oil level be too high because you can have splatter and things going everywhere. So I think they were trying to minimize that happening, but I think they went too far the other direction, and my wings were on the burning on the bottom of the pot, and they had little spots on them where they were more done, where they had touched the bottom of the Dutch oven. So if you're going to make this recipe, maybe 1.5 times the amount of oil or 2 times the amount of oil. I don't think the splatter will become a big issue if you use, say, 2 quarts of oil. So after deep frying these wings, there is a whole process of cleaning up the oil. I strained it through a cheesecloth to be able to reuse it again. They say oil can be used 4 to 6 times before you need to dispose of it. And I will say, in my current level of home cooking, at my current skill, I'm more inclined to side with Adam Ragusa in not deep frying at home. If you're doing the whole process of oil and draining oil and doing like paper towels and racks and sheet pans and stuff like that, you'd kind of want to be cooking for more people or be cooking a larger quantity of food, which I'm not. So it doesn't make as much logistical sense for me. And I'm lazy and I want to have food now in my stomach now, please, now. Okay, I think that sums up my thoughts on deep frying at home. I would recommend going and watching those 2 videos to kind of get a bigger picture of whether deep frying at home makes sense for you. So let's just go through the overall thoughts on these chicken wings and how they turned out. So I'd like to just go over the pros and cons and then give my final rating on this. So in terms of pros, the crunch is really good. Really good. Also, it's deep fried chicken wings. That's pretty much it. Also, the lemon pepper hot sauce recommendation was good. I think the lemon pepper ended up half solving the flavor issues that I had with these wings. As for cons, the saltiness of the wings needs more balance, either with sweetness or with more spice, or maybe with some kind of acidic type flavor that kind of will round the flavor out more, as opposed to a little bit of balanced flavor on the outside and just a lot of saltiness. Another con, deep frying at home may or may not be for you. I don't think it's really for me as of right now. So that's kind of, a personal decision to make, but there is a lot of logistics involved in deep frying at home. Now we have a pawn, and that is the brine. I do like the evenness of the salt flavor throughout the wing that you get by brining it, but I don't care that much. I just sometimes I'd rather not do the whole process of brining and have a maybe less evenly salty wing throughout. Sometimes I just don't care. So overall, I'd give these wings a 6 out of 10. I did like them, and it's fried chicken, breaded fried chicken wings. So like, come on. But I would definitely make some adjustments to the flavor and the process if I were to make this recipe again. Bye bye. Okay, so I thought that after I had filmed that Snoop would return. He would deign to return and speak to me like he did before, but it's been a few days and it hasn't happened, and I'm getting worried and I don't know what to do.